Qwen just dropped 3 new models, Qwen3.5 Plus, Qwen3.6 Flash, and 35B Moe Beast, and they're redefining what open source AI can do. Here's what you need to know and why this changes your options right now. 3 new models, 1 week. Alibaba just fired a warning shot to the entire open source AI world. Qwen3.5 Plus, Qwen3.6 Flash, Qwen3.635B A3B. 3 names, 1 team, and a clear signal. Alibaba's Qwen is accelerating hard. If you've been following open source AI, you know Qwen started back in 2023 with a solid technical report and a promise to keep weights open. But this latest release isn't just an iteration, it's a multi-pronged push. You've got a Plus model that refines the 3.5 generation, a Flash variant that screams speed and efficiency, and a 35B parameter model with an A3B designation. That A3B likely stands for 3 billion active parameters out of 35 billion total. Classic mixture of experts architecture. So you're getting a model that thinks like a giant but runs like something much smaller. I want to be upfront. Exact benchmark numbers for these specific models aren't fully public yet at the time of recording, but based on the Qwen family trajectory and what we've seen from Qwen3.6 to 27B on artificial analysis, these new entries are going to be competitive. The Flash model is probably targeting sub-second latency on consumer hardware. The 35B A3B, that's your budget-friendly reasoning powerhouse. The real story here isn't just specs, it's that Qwen is giving you choices. Different sizes, different trade-offs, all open weights. That's rare. From 3 new Qwen models in 1 week to from 2023 to now, how Qwen earned that 2023 technical report wasn't just a paper, it was the start of a model family that's now challenging the let's rewind a bit. Qwen's first technical report hit arXiv in September 2023. That paper was 59 pages of dense detail, but the key takeaway was, here's a model family that's not just open, but actually good at coding, math, tool use, and even agentic planning. They released base models and chat versions fine-tuned with RLHF. They even had specialized code Qwen and math Qwen variants. I remember skimming that report and thinking, okay. Another Chinese LLM. Let's see if it's real. But then Qwen chat started showing up in benchmarks. It was punching above its weight. The 702B version was going toe to toe with much larger proprietary models on complex reasoning tasks. And because the weights were on Hugging Face, you could actually run it yourself. Fast forward to today, and Qwen has become one of the most reliable names in open source AI. They've consistently released models that balance intelligence, speed, and cost. The Hugging Face organization page, which I checked before recording, lists dozens of models and spaces with contributions from a huge team. That's not a one-hit wonder. That's sustained engineering. So when Qwen drops 3 new models in 2026, it's not a random experiment. It's the next logical step from a team that's been iterating publicly for years. That context matters because it means these models aren't just hype. They're built on a proven foundation. From 2023 to now, how Qwen earned to open weights, low cost, and no API. The real reason these models matter isn't benchmarks. It's that you can own the intelligence, not rent it. Here's the thing. A year ago, if you wanted frontier level AI, you pretty much had to pay OpenAI or Anthropic per token. Open source models were okay, but there was always a gap. That gap is closing fast. Qwen's new models matter because they give you full control. You download the weights, you run them on your own hardware, or you use a cheap API endpoint. No one can deprecate the model out from under you. No one can change the pricing overnight. For startups, students, or anyone building real products, that's not a nice to have, it's essential. Take Qwen3.5 Flash. The name says it all. It's optimized for speed. I'd bet it's designed for real-time applications. Chatbots, code autocomplete, on-device assistants. If it's anything like previous Flash models from other providers, you're looking at output tokens per second that make GPT-4 feel sluggish. And because it's open, you can quantize it, run it on a gaming GPU, and still get usable performance. Then there's the 35B-A3B. MoE models are brilliant because they activate only a fraction of their parameters per token. So you get the reasoning depth of a 35B model, but the inference cost of a 3B model. That's a game changer for tasks that need deep thinking, like debugging complex code, analyzing legal documents, or multi-step planning without burning through your budget. This isn't just about technical specs, it's about freedom. You're not renting intelligence, you're owning it. From open weights, low cost, and no API, to can these models actually compete? Here's the uncomfortable truth. These models might already be good enough to replace your GPT subscription. Let's be honest, open source models often promise the world, but when you test them on a tricky task, they stumble. So, where do these Qwen models likely stand? I can't give you exact MML scores because they haven't been published yet, but we have a strong signal. Artificial analysis already evaluates Qwen3.6 27B. That's a slightly smaller sibling, and it appears on their intelligence index alongside models like DeepSeek v4 and Mimo v2.5. That's elite company. The 35B A3B should be at least as capable, probably better on reasoning tasks because of the MoE architecture. Here's my personal take. For most real-world use cases, these models will be more than enough. I've been testing open models for the past year, and the point where good enough beats perfect. arrived months ago. Qwen3.6 Flash will likely handle 90% of your daily AI tasks. Summarization, drafting, simple coding, faster and cheaper than any proprietary API. The 35B A3B will cover the remaining 10% where you need deeper logic. The real question isn't, is it as smart as GPT-5? It's, is it smart enough for what I actually do? And for most people, the answer is yes. Plus, you can tune it. That's something you can't do with a closed API. So if you have a specific domain, medicine, law, finance, you can adapt the model to your data and likely outperform a generic giant. That's the power move. And that's why these releases matter. Can these models actually compete? Two, I tested a Qwen model for a real I ran a 50-page contract through a Qwen model on my laptop, and it cost me nothing. Here's why that changes. A few weeks ago, I needed to build a quick prototype, a tool that reads messy PDFs, extracts key data, and generates a structured report. I didn't want to pay API fees for 200 pages of documents, so I grabbed an earlier Qwen3.5 model, quantized it, and ran it on my laptop. Honestly, I expected it to be slow and maybe miss details, but it processed a 50-page contract in under 2 minutes, pulling out dates, parties, and obligations with maybe 85% accuracy. Not perfect, but for first pass, insane. And it cost me $0. Now imagine doing that with Qwen3.6 Flash. The speed would be even better. Or use the 35B A3B for more nuanced extraction, like identifying conflicting clauses or risky terms. You could build an entire document analysis pipeline without ever hitting a paid API. That's the kind of practical advantage these models unlock. It's not about fancy demos, it's about getting real work done on your terms with no surprise bills. And yes, I later fine-tuned that model on a few hundred labeled examples and got accuracy above 95%. Try doing that with a closed model. I tested a Qwen model for a real PIDAR to the catch what Qwen models still do. Before you switch everything to Qwen, there are 3 catches you need to know. I'm not here to sell you on Qwen. There are trade-offs. First, if you need absolute frontier performance on highly specialized benchmarks like humanities last exam, you might still want GPT 5.5 or Claude Opus. Qwen is competitive, but it's not the undisputed champion yet. Second, ecosystem support. While Qwen models work great with tools like Llama, CPP, Ollama, and VLLM, they don't have the same seamless integration as OpenAI's function calling or Anthropic's tool use in every framework. You might need to write a bit more glue code. Third, language balance. Qwen models are trained heavily on English and Chinese, which is great. But if you work primarily in Italian, French, or other languages, you might notice a slight quality drop compared to models with more balanced multilingual training. Not a deal breaker, but something to test. Finally, safety alignment. Open models can be jailbroken more easily. If you're deploying a customer-facing chatbot, you'll need to add your own guardrails. That's the price of freedom. But for me, these are manageable. The benefits, cost control, customizability outweigh the downsides for most projects I work on. From the catch what Qwen models still do to how to get started with these models, you can be running these models on your own machine in under 10 minutes. Here's exactly how, so you're convinced and want to try them. Here's the quickest path. Option 1. Hugging Face. The Qwen organization page has all the weights. Search for Qwen3.6 Flash or Qwen3.5 A3B. Download the safe tensors, load them with transformers or Llama. CP. If you have a GPU with at least 8 GB VRAM, you can run the flash model quantized. The 35B A3B will need more memory, but with 4-bit quantization, even a 24 GB card can handle it. Option 2 API. Alibaba Cloud and other providers offer Qwen models via API. Pricing is usually a fraction of what OpenAI charges. I can't quote exact numbers because they change, but expect something in the range of a few cents per million tokens. That's dirt cheap. Option 3, test without setup. Go to Qwen Chat at Chat, Qwen. They often deploy their latest models there. You can chat with them, test reasoning, upload files, and see if the performance meets your needs before you commit to running locally. My advice: start with the chat demo. If you like it, download the Flash model for everyday tasks. Keep the 35B A3B for when you need deeper thinking. And if you're building a product, seriously consider fine-tuning. It's the real unlock. From how to get started with this model to what Qwen's acceleration means for Qwen's speed is forcing the entire industry to change. And that's good news for you. Let's zoom out. Qwen isn't the only open source player. Meta has Llama, DeepSeek has V4, Mistral has its own models. But Qwen's rapid release cadence, 3 models in a single update, signals a shift. The open source community is no longer playing catch up, it's setting the pace. When a model like Qwen3.635 A3B can rival proprietary models at a tenth of the cost, it forces giants like OpenAI and Google to rethink their pricing. We're already seeing this. GPT 5.5 is expensive, and users are starting to ask, do I really need this? The answer, increasingly, is no. For developers, this means you can build more ambitious projects. Imagine an app that spins up hundreds of AI agents, each running on a cheap Qwen instance, coordinating to solve a problem. That was science fiction 2 years ago. Now it's a weekend project. The democratization of AI isn't coming, it's here. And Qwen is one of the main reasons why. From what Qwen's acceleration means for for should you switch to Qwen? Here's my honest advice. You don't need to switch completely, but you'd be foolish not to test these. After everything we've covered, here's my bottom line. If you're paying for AI right now, you should at least test these models. Qwen3.6 Flash will probably handle most of your daily tasks faster and cheaper. The 35B A3B will cover the complex stuff, and you'll own the stack. I'm not saying abandon GPT-5 entirely. There are still edge cases where the frontier models shine. But for 80% of workloads, open Qwen models are the smarter choice. And that percentage is only going up. The AI world is fragmenting in a good way. You have options, cool. Qwen just gave you 3 more. Use them if you want a head-to-head comparison of Qwen and 3.6 Flash versus DeepSeek V4. Drop a comment and I'll make that video. Hit subscribe if you want to stay ahead of these model releases, because the pace isn't slowing down. Subscribe to Techie Talk AI and try Mnemonic free at Mnemonic. App made with Mnemonic.